What's up, Leafs fans, and welcome to Leafs Digest. Goody and I are back breaking down Game 15 of the NHL season this year for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We win this one 2-1 over the Calgary Flames in overtime. We move to 9-6-1 on the season, second in the Atlantic still. What a game by the boys. The core four get themselves back on the board again. William Nylander stays red hot, and Auston Matthews caps this one off with an overtime thriller. Just an absolute bullet of a shot past Vladar. I think that's how you say his name. Dan Vladar, his third start of the season. It was a solid game all around. Not an overly eventful one in terms of goals. And typically when you get a low-scoring game like that, especially one that's 0-0 for as long as it was, and then kind of just goes to that slow 1-0, 1-1 later on, it can be a weird game, one where not much is happening. That wasn't the case tonight. Tonight it was action-packed. There was tons of chances all over the place. Both goaltenders played incredibly. Goody, I need to know, first off, William Nylander, is he the best player on the Toronto Maple Leafs right now?
No, he's not, but it shows you the value of being on a friendly contract, right? I've been struggling to articulate what's going on with Pascal Siakam on the Raptors side of things, and not to diverge immediately to basketball, but just a little bit of a parallel here where you see a guy who has a lot to offer but just gets paid too much, right? Our expectations are so high, and it just mentally deteriorates him over a season of, even though he can be doing a lot of good things, ultimately you're going to pale in comparison to the overpay day that you got, even though it was market value at the time. So I think that William Nylander having a more humble contract in our core four allows him to be consistent, look great to the fans. I think that we still have more talent in Auston Matthews. Breaking down the Nylander or Marner, who's better there, that's a real debate, but I still got to say Auston Matthews is our top guy by a long shot.
We got to save that one for a different video because that's an entire conversation all in itself. If Nylander and Marner is better than Marner right now, and I'm not laughing because I think it's a ridiculous take. I'm laughing because that is one of those ones where it could draw some complete controversy, so I don't think we should get into that right now.
No, we don't need to open that can of worms.
Yeah, I do love that you just throw that one out there. But hey, right now specifically, and the one thing I've talked about a lot as the season's gone on and brought back of things you and I specifically have talked about on here is last season, remember going into the playoffs when the debate came between Jack Campbell or Freddie Anderson. One of the biggest comments that both of us had and maintained was Jack Campbell is the better goalie right now. He may not have been in the past, he may not be in the future, but right in this moment, he is the better goalie. And William Nylander continues to be one of, if not the best player on the Leafs on a nightly basis. And I'm not saying that his overall body of work is the best player on the Leafs. I know there's Auston Matthews and John Tavares and Mitch Marner has had his years that better than William Nylander. Right now, specifically, night in, night out, William Nylander is a top-notch elite NHL player at this point in time. This guy is just scoring at a rapid pace. He's on a 40-goal pace for the season, and we both predicted that William Nylander would push that 40-goal mark this year. And the other part of it is just like these goals that he's scoring. Yes, he gets that one against Philly where it bounces in off of his foot kind of situation, and that's a cheesy one. But then the second goal of the game that he scores, nasty shot tonight. It's just a gross goal. This guy is just showcasing on a nightly basis the immense talent that he has. And on top of that, one stat that I had brought up to you, there's one player in the NHL this year. This is what they brought up on the broadcast. One player in the NHL this year who has more shots on goal than William Nylander, and that player would be Alex Ovechkin. So this guy is just creating chances for himself, either through physicality, speed, or just putting pucks on net. He's doing it all right now, and he deserves to be applauded for it.
100%. And we're talking about an early start, a great start to the season for him. Half of the goals he has were either game-tying goals or game-winning goals. And yeah, you get one fluky one in Philly, but this guy's been a sniper all season long. It's the eye test. It's off the charts. And if you can get to 40 goals statistically, I mean, he's in special company. You put out that stat there saying that the only player who shot the puck on net more is Alexander Ovechkin. That's special, right? Ovi passing Brett Hull there on the all-time scoring list. Elite company, but we're not going to build up Willie that far. It's just great to see him performing for the Leafs when it was a terrible start to the season. This is the guy who's been most consistent.
Yeah.
That's definitely what I can say is maybe he's not our best player, our most consistent for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, right behind Jack Campbell, who's also been a stud in his own right, played great tonight, hanged on right to the end for us, never gave up, and we end up getting the victory. That was huge.
Yeah, and this guy 30 saves, a 968 save percentage. He only allows one goal. He is a monster, man. And I seriously, I know that people watching and people who have followed along with this channel and have heard all the things that I specifically have said about this guy, and you're gonna say when I say this next statement is that I'm lying, but I hate just harping on Freddie Anderson. But do you honestly believe, like, do you say, and maybe it's just me, this why, so I'm asking you, do you honestly believe that, like, if Freddie Anderson was the goaltender tonight, that's a 1-goal game late through the third period? Because I just don't think it is.
No, I don't. But early Freddie Anderson in Toronto, maybe. I just think he got to the. Sometimes that happens with goaltenders where you still have a ton of talent and you bring a ton to the table to a team, but you need to change the scenery. I don't think he was compatible with the systems we were running. I think after a while, it mentally gets to you. And he had enough performances where, he was the good guy and we were the villains in front of him. It was a weird dynamic by the end of it. I think it was like a very good mutual parting of ways, but Jack Campbell is just a rock for us no matter the situation. I definitely cannot say that the Freddie Anderson we last saw could go do what Jack Campbell's doing right now. And everyone wants to ask questions, right, about, could Jack Campbell really come out of just the woodwork at this point in his career and be a starter for a team that's got playoff aspirations? It would seem like no, but then you watch the games, you look at his record. I mean, everything is just right there on par for Jack Campbell. I think this team is doing the right thing, giving him the reins right out of the gate in the season. And it's going to be interesting to see how much money he asks for in the offseason. Not to jump right there, but performances like this really just make you wonder, is this guy going to be worth keeping and holding on to? Because he's only impressed.
Yeah, 100%. And the last thing that I want to say about the Jack Campbell situation is just, it's been a kind of a question as to how many games can this guy play, and I think one of the main reasons Mrazek was brought in is so that the load wouldn't entirely be on Jack Campbell. But with the Mrazek injuries and the goalie shuffle going on here in Toronto at this moment in time, especially with how well Jack Campbell is playing, I think this is a guy who wants the net every single night. Like, I think that if he could play tomorrow night in Buffalo, he would. Just because he has been so hungry to be in there. He's playing so well. And I know that, like, and especially from myself playing minor sports, and I know you feel it too, is when you feel good about how you're playing, you just want to keep going. You don't want to take time off. You don't want these breaks. And he just seems like the kind of guy who's like, put me back in there. I want to go. I want to win. I want to play. And I want to do it. And one of the biggest reasons I think he's doing it is because he wants to do it for the boys. Like, it's so
he's
for the
built
boys,
different, man.
buddy, but it's just, that's who he is. That's what he does. This guy makes saves and turns and looks at the defense and taps him on the shin pads and says, good play. Like, that's just who he is. That's his DNA.
He's American, right? But he just comes off as the most Canadian guy of all time. He's just so polite, happy-go-lucky, loves the hocky game. Like, everything about him is
even
so
just
Canadian,
the way he talks and saying
I know.
Stuff.
It's crazy. I can't believe he's from the US, but Jack Campbell is as good as they come personality-wise, which has really helped his transition here. I think that having no expectations, being an underdog, and just a happy-go-lucky guy that he throws himself under the bus. And I just think that in the Toronto media, that'll do you more favors than someone who's maybe a bit more cautious talking and, a little bit more deliberate. I feel, or deliberate's not the word to use there, but you know what I mean? Jack Campbell is someone who you can't phase him even if you tried. And, he's the guy that puts the most pressure on himself. The Toronto media seems to really respect him, and us fans already love him.
I do want to talk about 3 other players. We can touch on them briefly here, but it's 3 guys that caught my eye tonight in terms of the way that they're playing. I will start with one guy who isn't as surprising, and it's kind of a guy who's finding his rhythm into the line that he's been on. And that would be Alex Kerfoot. I think he has looked really, really good on that second line with Tavares and Marner. One thing we've talked about a little bit here is the Sheldon Keefe blender that he's been throwing out there. One problem that we kind of had was when Kerfoot was on lower down lines, he kind of just fell into the mix and became very Leaf-like in terms of the statement, in terms of the fact of you play to who you're playing with, or you play to who you're playing against. And that's kind of what we saw from Kerfoot. since he's had this opportunity to play with Tavares and Marner, no matter who he ends up with, he brings energy, he brings intensity. He looks pretty good with whoever he's on the ice with at all times. And again, tonight, I thought he looked pretty good. I actually will give it my power play of the day right now. And I'm going to give it to the Nylander goal. But yes, the Nylander goal, the shot itself was incredible, but it's more of just the overall play. And it's, again, mixing those lines together and having a combination of people and him still continuing to show out Kerfoot. But it's Kasha putting pressure on the puck in the corner, causing the turnover. Kerfoot grabbing the puck on the wall and making a beautiful, beautiful cross-ice one-timer pass to Nylander, who fires the puck home. Kasha going to the front of the net, and regardless of if he was right in front of the goaltender or not, that presence was definitely felt of him being there, being in that position. That line was, I know that that's not a line, but that line in that moment put a lot of pressure on. They did all the right things, and it ends up going well for them, being able to tie the game up later into the third period there. That is my power play of the day. I just think overall that was great, and it was good to see that from Kerfoot to be able to make that pass, because this guy has been playing really well lately, and I've been really impressed with what I've seen from him.
Yeah, Kerfoot's one of those guys. Like, I'll get in my power play of the game in a moment, but Kerfoot's one of those guys that kind of reminds me not directly of Robertson, but a similar kind of category where it's like you're not going to get anything out of his skill set in the bottom six. Sure, he'll get the occasional point and do his job, but if you want Kerfoot to get on the score sheet more often and really impact the game, well, you're going to want to put him with skill players, because he's obviously not going to be physical. And then if he's trying to set up Pierre Engvall in front of the net or Camp, it's just not going to happen as often as it will with someone playing on the second or first line, just logically. So I feel like Kerfoot has settled really nicely into that second line, and I'm going to focus on the same play, but I'm just going to go and give it right to William Nylander. This guy scores important goals, and the one-timer, that's something that the Leafs don't have a ton of, I wouldn't say. I know that Jake Muzzin can kind of let it go from the point. Austin Matthews, a pretty newly integrated one-timer shot the past couple seasons. Didn't see that early in his like rookie and sophomore year.
Actually, before you continue, you're just talking about the Austin Matthews one-timers. I'm pretty sure on the broadcast they said he had 4 tonight, 4 one-timers.
Well, it's definitely part of his arsenal now.
Yeah,
like that's no doubt about it. But I think that we don't really have like the point man, like Morgan Riley.
No, I agree. I agree completely.
We've relied on Matthews to take one-timers, and now that William Nylander can be zipping it past goalies, smacking it off the camera for my power play of the day, I'm very content. That's what I'm picking there. Scoring important goals, man. That's what Willie's been doing this season.
Yeah, fair enough. And then the 2 other guys that I was alluding to of guys that stood out to me tonight, just kind of briefly, one of those guys was actually mentioned in that power play of the day, and that's Andre Kasha. This guy looked really, really good tonight.
Yeah, he did look good.
He was very fast. He was creating chances. He had 2 opportunities on rushes that he created himself, from chipping pucks out, chasing after them, beating defenders. He looked really good, crashing the net. The other guy, which may be a little bit of a controversial one because of his ability to go silent and missing in games so far to this point in the season, is going to be Nick Ritchie. Nick Ritchie gets himself on the board with his 2nd point of the season last game against the Flyers, and tonight, no points, but he looked really good. He was hitting guys, he was creating chances, he was getting pucks on net, and from a guy like that, you're not expecting goals every night, you're not expecting an onslaught of points, but you are at minimum expecting him to have some kind of impact, and I do personally feel like he did have that on the game tonight. So those are my 3 guys kind of that stood out as, hey, these guys had pretty good nights tonight. It wasn't blowing us away with points or great plays, but just overall play in general, those 3 guys, I liked what I saw from them tonight.
Yeah, everything you said there is pretty on point. I think Nick Ritchie, I guess I'm just a bit stigmatized when it comes to him now because I had such high hopes for the guy. But we'll take the little victories here. You're right. He was buzzing out there, laying hits, being somewhat dangerous. I'd love to see him integrate a bit more skill into his game, especially playing in that bottom 6, right? You are a top 10 draft pick at one point or in that ballpark. You had high expectations. We brought you here to do a job. I know it's not panning out that way, but Nick Ritchie, little victories for now. Let's build him up. That's good stuff. I mean, that was the whole point of bringing him down to the bottom 6 is let's get him rolling there in a position where it's more natural. Let him play a checking game. But someone to me that stood out tonight who's been ragged before is Mitch Marner. He looked like Mitch Marner tonight. I
He
know
did.
it didn't
He
blow me away, but he just looked like the Mitch Marner from, a couple seasons ago where he was just all over the puck, racking up big time points, throwing. He does still the typical Marner things where he holds onto the puck too long and tries to basically out deke the whole team, but
yeah.
it's okay. I like that creativity. It results in scoring plays, and Marner was pleasing for me tonight at least.
Yeah, and you're bang on with he did look like Mitch Marner, and he was just doing confident things, creative things. He was trying things. Even you notice the kick pass that he had to Matthews, where like
Yeah,
the puck's bouncing through the air and he kicks it, and it just goes tape to tape to Matthews, kind of such thing like that. It's just that
Marner
was Mitch
magic.
Marner. Yeah, Marner magic. That was what it was. He looked really good tonight. That goal, I mean, that's gonna be one when they go back and look at the film. That was Marner's guy. He kind of let him go. The Calgary goal, the defender going through, leaves the guy, lets him go through, gets a perfect chance breakaway in, and he obviously capitalizes. But
It's a
I
nice
mean,
goal.
hey, other than that, yeah, there's going to be mistakes here and there. Marner, he did have a great night. The defense overall looked pretty good. I haven't noticed any problems with Justin Hall being back. They still have their typical blips that they normally have, and that's just Toronto defense, and that's what we've gotten used to over the years. And especially Justin Hall, it's just some of the normal stuff, but he seems to have minimized it from what it was at the beginning of the season, and I personally have liked him in there better than Travis Dermott. I think they got to keep riding with this D. There hasn't really been any holes. The last thing I want to touch on before we get to our grades, Austin Matthews, what a shot to score. That was his 8th shot on goal of the night. Absolute piss missile past the goaltender. It went in and out so quickly. I didn't even realize. Like, I knew it went in, but it was one of those ones where you're like, wait, what?
It looked like it went off the front of the pads. I'll be
Yeah.
honest. Like even on the slowed down replay, I thought to myself that looked like a save. I know it ripped in and out so quickly, but yeah, he went 5-hole there, right? But it was almost hard to tell
Yeah.
because the puck just looked like it stayed in front of the goalie the whole time.
It
It
was
was a weird
so
goal,
quick.
man. But
It was so
what a
quick.
bullet!
Yeah.
And you knock on the net 8 different times. There's one
Yeah.
was bound to go. And I love when you get Matthews in the 3-on-3. He is
Yeah.
just so dangerous. He's always guaranteed to walk someone and almost get a highlight reel goal every time. But this time he delivers with a wicked shot. That was great.
Yeah, and the thing too with the 3-on-3, like you're saying, is that his shot is so lethal 5-on-5 from anywhere on the ice, really, that it's something you always have to watch out for and be careful of. But in the 3-on-3, everything just compresses a little bit more, so you have like he can just shoot from a step or two closer to the net every single time just from the 3-on-3. So it's even scarier.
Big time. And I always trust Austin Matthews to be able to beat at least one defender. 5-on-5, the ice is congested. So you'll run into, like, I guess, the hockey version of help defense, right? Cluttering the slot, the front of the net makes it a little harder on him. But in 3-on-3, Austin Matthews is a great playmaker, not talked about enough. So if he can beat one guy, a defender pinches to help over. I mean, he can feed it over and get a goal that way too to a teammate on his line. So I feel like Austin Matthews in the 3-on-3, all we hear about is the 5-on-5 stats, which speak for themselves. But I love watching him when it's the overtime.
All right, goody. Last thing I want to get to before we close this one out is our grades of the game. You want to start us off on the grades for this one? You got a grade in mind?
Yeah, I do. Let's see if we both ended up with the same one here.
Okay.
I'm going to go with A-. I was teetering there. I was teetering. Did I hit yours?
What were you teetering on?
B+.
Okay. So I was teetering the other way. I ended up on A-, but I was teetering on the A, but I did end up on the A-.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So the reason I was teetering between the B+ and the A-, ultimately siding with the A-,
Yeah.
is because that we didn't score a whole lot of goals. I mean, that's a pretty minimal issue. There's going to be tight checking games. We still managed to outshoot the Flames. Jack Campbell plays great, but I just feel like, you got a potent offensive roster, win decisively. I mean, I can't complain. A B+ or an A- is a great grade. You get 2 points. It's awesome, but I just feel like, a little bit more goals would have probably juiced that up. You outshoot the team, but you were still trailing very late in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Not an ideal situation. We come through at the last minute. Get kudos for that. A- is my mark, Philly. What about yours? I mean, I know it's A-, but why is that?
Yeah, so I'll get to my grade and like why I teetered, but first, I love the statement of like, and I'm not like picking on you when I say this, so
No,
don't take
no,
it
no,
back.
no. Let her
I
rip.
love the statement of we didn't score a lot of goals, because all I can think about when you say that is, and I'm gonna verbal meme here, but you know the meme of the guy who's looking at two red buttons, and he's like sweating, and it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like all I can think about is like on one button says says Leafs Leafs can't win by outscoring all the time, and then the other one is Leafs don't score enough. It's
No,
just
no.
like
I
that.
I know exactly how it sounds, and it's true because right when the Leafs are just like winning games six
Yeah.
five, we're sitting there saying we need tight checking games, like low scoring,
But
like
then it
defensive
happens, and you're
grinds.
like, can we
But
just score some more goals? Like, come
we
on.
had we had 0 goals going into what, like the final like 3 minutes there. Like it was super late in the game that we tied it up and then
Yeah, I think
overtime win it.
closer to more. We had more than 5 minutes left. I think it was
Okay, so
closer to
yeah, it
like
was within the
7 or
final
something.
10 minutes of the game. I
Yeah,
forget the
yeah,
exact
yeah. Still,
the
yeah.
exact time that we got the Nylander goal, but yeah, my whole point there is just that you got a ton of goal scoring depth. You outshoot the team.
No, I
You were
know.
lucky in some
I know
senses.
what you mean. I'm
I
not.
know, I'm
I don't
just
think it's
justifying
foolish.
it.
I just think it's funny. I just like have that meme in my head of like, on one hand we score too many goals, and on the other hand we can't score enough goals.
There's no pleasing a Leafs fan.
No, never.
Never.
Uh, just to close this out on my grades, A minus. The biggest reason I'm gonna go with the A minus, and I'm gonna sound like the biggest broken record here. I cannot get over the fact that we start every game trailing. Like, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
what period, we're just always trailing. Even Tampa, Boston, I guess just going to tonight because you skipped Philly, we won that one. We get dummied by LA before the Philly game, so there was just no trailing at comeback in that. We're down 2-0 right away though. It's just we're down. We're always having to climb back. I guess in a way it gives us that sense of resiliency and knowing we can fight back. But still, at some point, it's going to come and bite you in the ass because that's not sustainable. I just don't think it is. I don't think we can continue to do that. But moving forward, hey, I'm going to go almost on the other end in terms of why it's like the A minus. But it's like, we're able to win checking games. We're able to win a tight game. We're able to win in a 2-1 game. And you have a goaltender who can stand on his head and play incredible like that and hold you in those, which I don't think we've seen in the past. I think we've had to rely on scoring a lot of goals. Otherwise, it's out the window. So I think overall, the team's defense is playing better. It's also supplemented by Jack Campbell being an absolute stud in net there. That guy is just incredible every single night. And then, obviously, you go to the other end of things. We didn't get these guys getting points, but it's the guys that I mentioned, Kerfoot, Kasha, Richie, certain guys like that. They're depth guys who played well. They didn't get on the board, but they contributed to the game. They did good things that you can take away and say, hey, those guys played well. They weren't just invisible out there tonight. And then on top of all that, the cherry on top is William Nylander just being a stud all season long, just staying red hot, scoring the tying goal, and then Matthews capping it off in overtime. You get the big boys scoring on a Hall of Fame night against the Calgary Flames, completing a 2-1 overtime victory against them, moving to 9-6-1 on the season, staying in second in the Atlantic. It's a feel-good night all around. Bunch of guys get into the Hall of Fame tonight. Big night in Toronto. Love what you see. But hey, if you are not subscribed to this channel right now, make sure you do so. We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers. Every subscriber along the way counts. Last time, Goody and I were looking to get to 1,000 subscribers. We went on live. It was absolutely electric. We hit the 1,000 subscriber mark on live, which was super fun. So as we get closer to 2,000, we will do a live again. So hopefully we can be on live while we hit 2,000. But you guys are the ones who can help us get to that 2,000 mark. You're the ones who can push us towards that live stream, that absolute electric factory of a live stream to get to 2,000. We'll be on with you guys. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, and comment on this video. Let us know your thoughts on the game. Let us know what you think about William Nylander. How did Kerfoot, Kasha, and Richie play in your opinions? What are your grades of the game? That's the other thing. If you guys want to give your grades of the game, let us know what your grade is and tell us why. Leafs fans, we will see you guys tomorrow, Saturday, November 13th, 7 p.m. against the Buffalo Sabres. We will be on live tomorrow after that game, so make sure you come to this channel to check it out. Leafs fans, we'll see you guys then. Keep believing.
Signing off.